Algorithms. Kind of a dirty word these days, especially if you throw in a little sprinkle of AI and machine learning. They're part of the disliked big tech ecosystem. The Silicon Valley firms behind them have drifted into territory that we once associated with weapons manufacturers when it comes to profiteering from destroying society.
But do algorithms, or algos to their friends, really deserve the hate? Well, to use a pretty boring essay construct, Oxford English Dictionary defines an algorithm as: to continue reading, please sign in below or purchase a subscription. So, what does this mean? Well, it means that Oxford English Dictionary have lost their goddamn mind, so I'll use Urban Dictionary instead, which defines it as something programmers use when they don't want to explain their code. An algorithm is a chunk of code, a set of instructions for solving a problem. Algorithms exist on a spectrum of complexity, and everything that a computer does involves them. When it comes to recommending content, down one end you have a really simple one, like the algorithm built into Mastodon, the reverse chronological feed. It takes the people that you're following, the hashtags that you're following, that your local server has in its content cache, it sorts them in reverse chronologically, and then your posts, my liege. Then you have the big data crunching beasts of the Silicon Valley tech firm down the other end, mapping your personality with every single metric that they know and every single behavior that they have the ability to detect, from your location when you lingered outside a McDonald's debating getting chicken nuggets, to that embarrassingly long argument that you had with a bunch of guys with trucks for profile pictures about the pedestrianization of a street in a city that you haven't been to in 7 years. And I thought that Freedom Convoy 2022 would have liked closing down streets. They take that profile and architect a personalized content labyrinth to keep you engaged and on their service, like an algorithmic concierge for a rat in a maze, placing the most engaging piece of cheese at each corner to keep you from being satisfyingly full, yet remaining unsatisfyingly scampering around. It's enough to give algorithms a bad name. But the thing is, algorithms aren't just necessary to get the data out of a database and show it to you. They're also totally capable of being a good thing. There, I said it.
Yeah, algorithms is a tricky one, because obviously there are a lot of benefits to algorithms.
See, he said it too. Look, is it so crazy that I want to read stuff from the BBC sometimes, but I don't want to read every single thing from the BBC?
It's all about control, I think.
A lot of people prefer the chronological nature, but also do kind of desire, in a way, another type of feed that allows them to have algorithmic discovery, because it does have its uses when it's applied properly.
Right. If I could talk to the algorithm, I'd say something like, "Hey Algo," because we're friends instead of foes in this scenario. With all the BBC accounts that I'm following, I don't want to know about sports and knife crimes in Bristol and the royal family, but on any given day, give me the most high-effort article that you have that relates to Canada.
There were at times tetchy exchanges.
With the way that technology is evolving, an ongoing plain language conversation tuning your algorithm like that seems within reach.
The issue we have with algorithms isn't their existence. It's that a bunch of profiteering corporations sneakily forced them onto us with absolutely no control. They're capable of causing massive harm to our mental health and to our society, and on top of all of that, they're addictive. The whole situation reminds me of something. But what could an algorithm be if it wasn't developed by the 21st century equivalent of big tobacco? What if you made the algorithm? Yes, you, viewer. Your algorithm could do the opposite of what big tech does. Later in the day before bed, it could intentionally show you less stressful content. It could even show you posts that make you bored and encourage you to get off your device. It could make sure that you always clock the posts from close friends and family before randos. It could reduce your chances of buying things that you don't want, or steer you away from frustrating online debates and AI-generated content. Algorithms are just a tool, like a knife. Delicious when in the hands of a chef, dreadful in the hands of a cannibal. Because we've had absolutely no say in the matter, the Fediverse is an open revolt against big tech and everything closely tied to it, from Amazon to algorithms. It's understandable that we want to raise the middle finger and say, "How do you like no algorithms at all?" But the truth is, we're being hypocrites because we're still using an algorithm. It's just we're being masochists because it's a shit one. Blue Sky has this kind of like hybrid platform where you can choose your algorithms?
You can create your own custom feed and have your own algorithm that's not controlled by somebody else. The mutuals feed, right? Where you only see content from people that you follow and follow you back. That has made my Blue Sky experience delightful.
They've made some really good innovation and progress regarding discovery.
Like, I actually think the way that they've done it has worked for users, and it's actually attracted a lot of users to that platform.
So I've been wondering, when do we get this choice on the Fediverse? When will some of the puritanical pilgrims leaving the old media world be like, you know, now that we can run the algorithm on our own servers and our devices using our rules, maybe this whole algorithm thing could help ease the transition for our friends and our family to come join us on the good old Fediverse. Well, it took a few years, but the first attempts to get us more than chronologically sorted timelines have started to arrive. I've heard for a while about a project called Fedialgo, which one person has forked and effectively taken over. This project says right up front, with the weary tone of a person who is tired of arguing with ideologues, see the comment section below this video for more of that they aim to free you from the tyranny of Mastodon's reverse chronological order timeline. The creator has built a web app so you can try it out really easily right now with your existing Mastodon account. And for a first proof of concept, I found it really interesting. Right away, your favorites button is actually harnessed to do something. I've realized over time that the favorite button is a bit like that light switch that you encounter where you're flicking it on and off, like, is this thing on? Favoriting doesn't really do a whole lot right now compared to boosting. It helps you create trending posts on your own server, and I guess it's nice when someone favorites your post and you get a little notification, but that's about it. This lets you use the favorite button like an algorithm trainer, letting you see more posts from users who you favorite frequently. You know, it's a perfect example of giving the users control over what they see all the time. You can also make sure that you don't miss out on posts that have lots of discussion on them, or when multiple people that you follow are all engaging in a conversation, or if you prefer posts with images. These are a sort of practical, common sense human application, which is great to see in an algorithm. They're an algorithmic version of, when all my friends are having a party, make sure I get sent an invite.
Right now on Facebook, the algorithm is letting you know when people you don't like are saying something annoying, so you can go be irritated and think that everything in the world is terrible. Meanwhile, on Mastodon, it's letting you know that a news outlet has published a 20-article scheduled payload at 7 a.m. in the morning, which you're going to have to scroll through carefully to spot the thing that you're actually interested in amongst stories about who won the Powerball on the weekend and who your former PM is dating. The core promise of the Fediverse isn't no algorithm, it's agency, and we should use that agency to create cool stuff like tools to help us sort through our feeds and see things that we want to see.
You can see in this side-by-side my stock Mastodon instance and the algorithmic one. And I don't know if this comes across as a viewer because I guess, you know, this is tailored to me, but the algorithmic feed basically feels like an editor has done a first pass on a draft. I'm seeing a higher concentration of the things that I actually want to see. I'm not having to quickly scroll through stuff. I don't feel manipulated, I feel assisted. This isn't some crazy Silicon Valley algorithm, it's more like a grammar checker to make sure word and script make good sense before I'm making mistake of reading that. It's very basic, but it's all that I need. At this stage, the implementation is strictly front-end. It lets the people who do the server code keep going with their projects as they intended, while giving the community a taste of what an algorithm could be. When you log in through this website, nothing is shared with it. It connects directly to your Mastodon instance like an app. It goes through your timeline and interactions, caching and compiling a profile locally in your browser. So any app developers could implement this, and with a pretty busy ecosystem of apps being made, I reached out to a few of them to ask them why they haven't tried it out. The most common concern was about resource usage. In the case of a desktop browser, you have a plugged-in computer with plenty of power and storage space. It can download your entire account history on the Fediverse and crunch the numbers on it in the fraction of a rotation of a wind turbine. Now, I have no idea how app development works. Victor, is this an app?
No, this is a podcast.
But there's got to be a way. Can it be downloaded and processed when plugged in and on Wi-Fi? Could the desktop version of an app like Ice Cubes have the algorithm as an option? Could the desktop version crunch your feed and send it to your phone? I think this convoluted thinking kind of illustrates something obvious about the long-term direction that this should go. The optimal place for gathering lots of data and crunching it isn't on a mobile device. This belongs on the server. Putting this on the server can also layer in more information, obviously, like being able to factor in the favorites of your friends as well. So unsurprisingly, server-side things are changing too.
PixelFed actually is reverse chronological, but on Loops, we are developing a topic-based algorithm that really brings discovery to the forefront and makes it easier to find your little niche in the Loops community. So we're making it transparent. You're going to be able to see where you're seeing this content from.
Old social media is like living with a friend who offers you cigarettes and refills your glass no matter what, as long as you do not leave. If you've ever had a period of your life with a friend like that, you'll know you can develop an unhealthy pattern of behavior that can easily establish an addiction. This metaphor really blends into reality because the literal pathways in the brain being impacted are similar and often exactly the same. Now, a lot of people on the Fediverse are recovering addicts or people who are friends with addicts, and we've seen the damage that an algorithm can do. We've escaped that unhealthy setting, and there's no way that we want to see it happen again in this incredibly difficult to establish new world. Suspicion is completely warranted. I think, though, that we are missing a key difference. The only way that social media algorithms worked up until this point was maximum algorithm with absolutely no agency on behalf of us as users beyond manually being able to block accounts.
The insanity of this era will look like other periods in history where highly addictive and unhealthy substances evaded regulations and were normalized. We live in a world where 99% of our friends and family, little kids, are algorithmically spending their days with a full glass of ethanol in their hands, constantly topped up by some of the shittiest people in our society. Understandably, many of them are hammered, and it is pickling their brains.
But does it have to mean we only drink water now? There's a world of difference between that and an alcohol-free beer or a glass of wine over dinner with friends. The first step to a healthier social media has been made. It gave us the agency to hit the reset button and opt out. Now we need to have a conversation about what it means to opt in.